of coming to live to Dominican Republic or staying here a while, and you're just thinking about looking at the ocean breeze and drinking and sipping on pina coladas? Well, not so fast. There are things that you have to pay for here in the Dominican Republic that you may probably not have to pay in other countries. So here are the top 5 hidden costs of living in the Dominican Republic. Let's go. And while you're here, my name is Ellie, and on this channel we talk all things Dominican Republic. I am Dominican living in Santo Domingo, and I love to talk about my beautiful country and the way of life here. So if you want to know how things work around here, what things cost, and places I think you might want to see, go ahead and subscribe. The first cost of living in Dominican Republic are the courier. Since we live on an island, most things that you buy off of Amazon or other popular online stores require someone to bring them to you because the shipping directly to Dominican Republic is extremely expensive. So most of us here on the island actually pay for a courier service to bring our packages from a P.O. box in Miami or another state that is close to the Caribbean, and they ship it over here. Now, if your shopping cart is under $200, you won't have to pay import fees. You just have to pay the courier by the pound that the package weighs when it gets to DR. If your item is over $200, then you'd have to pay 2 things: the courier cost and the import fees that the government has on all items that are imported that are over $200. Now, I will say this, there are pretty exciting news because Amazon has recently launched a program where they ship free to countries all over the world. You have to have a few requirements to get this free shipping directly to Dominican Republic. The first thing is that your shopping cart has to be over $49 of qualifying items, and a lot of items don't even ship to Dominican Republic at all. So you have to take that into account when you want to go for this free shipping deal that they're offering right now. And most of the other items, you're just gonna have to pay a courier.
Sometimes you just gotta believe there's something that'll give you relief. There's something that'll have what you need, what you need. We're broken, it's tragic, we're not all elastic, but maybe there's magic. Believe you could have it, and I know of sadness, the anxious and panic, the infinite vastness.
The second thing you're going to have to pay for here is for a solution to power outages. Now, I don't know if you have heard, but here in the Dominican Republic, our electric sector is not as developed as I would hope. And so there are some neighborhoods here in Santo Domingo specifically that do have 24-hour electric circuits, so you barely get any power outages. And there are other neighborhoods that unfortunately still get regular power outages. Now, even if you live in a high-end neighborhood where there are barely any power outages, you every now and again get a power outage. So you're gonna have to find a solution for that, and that costs money. Now, what solutions am I talking about? When the power goes out, you're either gonna have to use a solar panel, an inverter for electricity with battery, or you're just gonna have to use a backup power generator. A lot of the modern apartment buildings that they're building here in Santo Domingo most likely would have a backup power generator in the maintenance. So you just have to pay your maintenance fee, and that will include the maintenance of the power generator, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you live in a classic apartment building, you're probably gonna have to pay for solar panels in your apartment or for an inverter with a few batteries, depending on what you gotta use in your apartment. Oh, and a pro tip regarding the electricity is that you may want to invest in some voltage protectors for your high-end appliances like your refrigerator, your washer dryer, and your TV. Because since the electricity goes in and out sometimes, there may be surges in the voltage of the electricity, and you don't want to damage your very expensive appliances with those surges in electricity. So go ahead and invest in those voltage protectors. The third hidden expense of living in Dominican Republic is the water. As you may have known by a previous video that went viral the other day, here it is impossible to drink the water from the faucet. That is a huge no-no. So what do Dominicans do? We buy bottled water. We buy these huge 5-gallon jugs of water from the local colmado, the one that's nearest to your house, and we get them delivered to our homes, and that's our entire drinking water supply. We also sometimes buy little bottles of water in the supermarket and things like that. So basically, you have to buy your own bottled water in order to have available drinking water in your home. It's not too expensive, but it is a hidden expense that you may have not expected. Another solution to the drinking water problem is just to have a company that has filters for your home water. So the water from your faucet, the one that goes to your house, they actually filter it out and make it as clean as any drinking water in the market. So that's what I have in my home. I actually have a little water system. It has a separate faucet right beside my kitchen sink. So we have an entire filtering system. They come every month and give maintenance to the different filters that have to be changed out, and that's worked wonderfully in my house. But the point of it all is you have to find a perfect solution for you with regards to drinking water here in the DR. Guys, by the way, I'm here in El Malecon, one of my favorite places in Santo Domingo area, and I'm seeing this little boat move. I'm not sure if the big boat is moving the small boat or if the small boat is helping out the big boat. I'm not sure what's going on there. If any of you guys know what's going on over here, let me know. But it's a really cool thing to see and to feel just the ocean breeze over here. Malecon, highly recommend. This fourth hidden cost of living in the DR pertains to you especially if you have a family of school-aged children. The point of the matter is that here in the Dominican Republic, the public school sector is not as high quality as I would love it to be. So most Dominicans that are middle to high end cover their education needs with private education. The good thing is though that there are all tiers of private schools here. So you get private schools that are affordable in my opinion, and you get private schools that are really truly high-end schools. There is everything for everyone. So you have schools that are religious, you have schools that are not religious, you have schools that are bilingual, there are some that are technology focused, there are others that are fitness focused. There is a whole bunch of private schools here to choose from and for all types of budgets. I would love for the public education system to be high-end enough and high quality enough so that everyone could put their children there. But right now, if you come live in the DR and have ages of children that go to school, then you will most probably have to budget in that private school. For higher education, however, there is great news. We have one public university, which is La Universidad Autónoma de Santo Domingo. It's not completely free, but it is completely inexpensive, like highly inexpensive. And you can go ahead and have your bachelor's there, master's degree there, all kinds of higher education courses. So higher education is pretty easy to get to, but for school age, like high school and down, you will have to pay for that private school, and is not as inexpensive probably as La was. Interesting trivia on regards to school. The word for school is actually escuela, but when you say school, when you say escuela here in the Dominican Republic, what you mean is public school. When you say colegio, you mean private school. But college, which is the word that's most similar to colegio, is actually university, universidad. So when you're talking to Dominicans and they say universidad, they really mean college, which is the 4-year thing that you get your bachelor's degree in. And when you say colegio, they actually mean private school that is from high school down. So let me know in the comments if you know this interesting bit of trivia. And the fifth cost of living in the Dominican Republic is because when you pay your food, you not only pay the cost of your food and the taxes for your food, you also have to pay by law 10% additionally to the waiter. So the tips here are not voluntary. You get to pay by law 10% all the time whenever you are at a formal restaurant. And by formal restaurant, I don't mean like a sit-down dinner, like a fancy thing. No. I just mean like an actual restaurant that is regulated and that is actually a registered company, because a lot of these informal chimichurris and like these hamburger places on the street, you don't have to pay that 10% tax for, because they're not official, they're kind of unregistered type of deals. But if you go to like an actual restaurant that's registered, they actually charge you for that 10% for the server. But what happens is Dominicans not only pay their food, they not only pay the taxes for the food, and that's 18% currently, they not only pay the 10% tax additionally for the server, they actually pay an additional voluntary tip. Why is that, you may ask? Well, because Dominicans don't really know, and they're kind of suspicious of the owners of these restaurants. So we're like, okay, we give the 10% that's in the bill, but what is the owner of the restaurant gonna do? Is they're gonna give the 10% to the server directly? So since we're unsure about that, when we get really good service, we give a little 100 peso, 200 peso to the little server additionally in cash on top of the bill that we already paid. So take that into account. When you're at a restaurant here in the DR, you gotta pay 18% tax, 10% for the waiter, and if you want to give la ñapa, which is like a little thing at the end, you give a little bit of money in cash to the waiter themselves. Well guys, those were 5 secret hidden costs to living in the Dominican Republic. But by this video, I don't want to hate on the DR. I actually love living here. And so what I'm trying to say is, if you come or are planning to live here or spend any amount of time here, you're gonna have to take into account those things in the video. By this, I'm not saying that living here is frantic or hectic, or you're gonna have to go all out in terms of budget, but those are just little things that you may have to take into account. So guys, with that, let me enjoy my little ice flavor thingy, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye guys.